that.
From journalism students at London Metropolitan
5,
University,
4.
this is Met Today.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome to Met Today. I'm Gabriel Bruno.
And I'm Carolina Zero.
Coming up on today's show, highlights of this week's debate, What is a Londoner?, which took place here at London Met.
But first, let's have a look at today's headlines. Researchers have warned that music could be taken out of the curriculum in secondary schools in England due to pupils struggling under the pressure of studying it. Chancellor Philip Hammond has said that national insurance for self-employed workers will be increased due to new financial challenges that the government will face. Children from the UK may be at risk of missing out on new cancer drugs following the UK's decision to withdraw from the European Union.
More news later in the programme.
Yesterday's panellists at London Met's debate, What is a Londoner?, included politician Jeanette Arnold and activist and filmmaker Cartel Brown.
The debate reached boiling point when Cartel questioned Jeanette's statistics on a stop and search policy, as well as distorted figures on youth knife crime. Knife crime seems forever to be in the news. Only on Tuesday afternoon we heard a gang-related stabbing outside Victoria Station.
According to latest figures, the first time in 4 years it rose nationally. Here in London, Lambeth, Tower Hamlets and Newham are seeing the highest incidence.
And it made for a heated discussion at our event. Activist and ex-London Met graduate from our own course, no less, Cartel Brown shared his strong views on the matter.
Secondly, you talk about the London Assembly being very dedicated to knife crime and stuff. When I was actually doing my project on knife crime, I actually emailed you. And you actually replied back and said you were actually too busy, which is neither here nor there. And I appreciate you must have been very busy, but actually I don't feel like politicians in London are taking knife crime seriously. I feel like a lot of the time communities are left to deal with this by themselves, and having spent time with mothers who've had their children murdered, it's absolutely heartbreaking because how many young men, young women have to die in London before the politicians get their act together and say enough is enough? The Met Police are failing our communities in London. We've got a terrible relationship. We're not seeing people report knife crime, we're seeing people being taken into casualty, being stabbed, and are not even reporting those crimes for whatever reason. And there's lots of things that we need to address, but I would say that London Assembly in particular are not doing enough, and that they're really overlooking this issue.
And we're joined by Francesca Mazzola, our
Hi.
culture correspondent.
So you had a chance to meet Cartel. Did you talk to him about any of your music at all?
No, yes. He told me about, his inspirations and what kind of DJ he tries to be. So,
In terms of music, I'm very eclectic. Like I said, I've kind of been brought up around music. So inspirational, I play anything from like hip hop to reggae, dancehall, house. And I feel like to be a good DJ, you have to kind of have a really eclectic kind of taste in music. I wouldn't just want to be one of them DJs who plays one thing. Not that I'm knocking DJs who do that, because some DJs like to specialize in hip hop or house, and that's great. But I kind of like to play for everyone and not just a particular few.
So what is he currently working on at the moment?
He's been working for Vice, and soon is going to Turkey to work on a documentary as part of his studies for his master's degree.
I'm doing a lot of freelance stuff. I'm currently in talks with Channel 4 about doing a documentary, and then in the summer I'm heading off to Turkey to do my master's graduation film looking at transgender women in Turkey. It has one of the highest murder rates of trans women in Europe. So I'm going out there to work with the women and to kind of help tell their story to the rest of the world. And DJing, lots of festivals, all that good stuff, so check me out, guys.
We know Cartel is heavily involved in the music scene. How does the decline of London's life affect the city?
He says that it's not because people don't want to go out. It's problems with new legislation and some clubs are facing, like Fabric in London, so...
Well, I think it's important to point out it's not necessarily a decline in terms of people not wanting to go out and party. It's legislation that is really dampening London's nightlife. And what we're seeing right now is it's a really dangerous time, especially for young Londoners who are really being pushed further underground. If we look at something like Fabric nightclub, and you'll all be aware of Fabric nightclub, they've now been allowed to reopen, but they've got a new piece of legislation which says they're not allowed 18-year-olds, so you have to be over 21 to now get in fabric. So we then have to ask ourselves, where are all these 18-year-olds going to go?
The green.
Another news bulletin with Dominika Kubunova.
Philip Hammond has said the government will press ahead with its plan to increase national insurance contributions for the self-employed. The Chancellor has argued that the proposal to unify NTIS for the unemployed and self-employed was fair and did not violate on the Conservatives' 2005 election pledge. Despite the concerns of some MPs, Hammond has assured to navigate Britain in the right direction and prepare it for Brexit. ISIS leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi abandons Mosul fight and is now allegedly hiding in the desert. The ruler of al-Muslims, as he resolves himself, has left operational commanders behind after the loss of territory in Mosul and fled from the battle to fight for his own survival. From the efforts to track him, it's believed that he hides mostly among civilians in familiar desert villages rather than among with the fighters. The government's finances will take a near -6 billion pounds hit as a result of the increased bill faced by the NHS. This is caused by the Lord Chancellor's decision to cut the personal injury discount rate to -0.75%. OBR says NHS will have to set aside extra £1.2 billion a year for compensation awards, while car insurance premiums will also rise. And now to the better part of the news. Ed Sheeran's new album Divide is breaking sales and becomes one of the fastest selling records in the UK ever. After its release last week, his third studio album made history by selling 232,000 copies in just 3 days. Sheeran's songs are now dominating the top 10 midweek chart, but is he going to be Adele?
And now, sports with Patrick, outside MS Arsenal Stadium.
Arsenal were hammered out of the Champions League on Tuesday night to Bayern Munich. After a second-half capitulation to the German champions, see Arsenal crash out 10-2 on aggregate. The Gunners suffered successive 5-1 defeats. Remember, they lost 5-1 back in Germany in the first leg, and they came into the tie needing to overturn a 4-goal deficit, something that was achieved by Barcelona yesterday when they stunningly beat PSG 6-1 at the Nou Camp. Going into the game at the Emirates, there was protests and marches with regards to the disputes around Arsenal manager Arsene Wenger. But on the pitch, it was a totally different story for Arsenal. They were the brighter of the two sides in the first half. Theo Walcott opened the scoring for Arsenal, expertly smashing through the hands of goalkeeper Manuel Neuer from an acute angle to give Arsenal the lead. They had a few more chances to add to that in the first half. Olivier Giroud probably had the best of those. But going into the second half is where it all really started to change for Arsenal. The skipper Laurent Koscielny was sent off for a last-ditch foul on Robert Lewandowski. He gave away a penalty that was converted by Lewandowski to make it 1-1, really to all but really seal Barcelona's progress into the next round, and that was confirmed really when Ian Robin turned the game into Munich's favour, capitalising on Alexis Sanchez's mistake to make it 2-1. And from then on, the atmosphere was flat. The team weren't playing to the same standard and with the same pace and urgency that they were in the first half. And Bayern took advantage of that. They scored 3 times in 7 minutes, 2 from Arturo Vidal and a skillful finish from Douglas Costa. Just completed a miserable evening for Arsenal. At the weekend, they play non-league Lincoln, and really, it's a must-win for Arsenal. They've lost 4 of their last 6 matches, and they go into the game. It's a must-win for Arsenal, and we spoke to some fans earlier to get their reactions on the team's morale, confidence going into the game, and just their opinions on what might happen.
They've not done that well as promised. You know, the manager keeps promising every season that Arsenal's going to do really great. Unfortunately, it's not. I think going into the game against Lincoln, they probably win it, but it will be a little bit of a seesaw game.
Well, obviously we have the whole Wenger in, Wenger out sort of thing. There was actually a protest yesterday. It was a little bit sad to see, and but I think personally it's time for change. You know, been an Arsenal fan for 21 years, and it's getting a bit tired. You know, and like I said, it's a bit sad, and I think that the whole feeling of the team in general is probably quite bad.
Now joining us, our political correspondent, Ivan Nevshev, to talk about a guest who we've just seen having a little bit of conflict with our cartel.
Yes, Jeanette Arnold did look a bit uncomfortable. She's the Great Swanton Assembly member of Hackney, Islington and Waltham Forest.
Our MP and OBE as well.
During the panel discussion, she talked about the relationship breakdown between the police and the ethnic minorities.
It is that individual officer who has got to be investigated and who has got to be dismissed. And I think that's the issue that we have to deal with. I think if you look and see how the relationship is built up and satisfaction levels rises within communities, it's when the police are working locally through the neighbourhood teams, where in an area where you see the police having recruited from those communities, you will see greater satisfaction. So I think what we've got to do is we've got to see black and minority ethnic, members from black and minority ethnic communities join the police.
This started a bit of a debate in the room, didn't it?
Yeah, Jeanette's views weren't shared by many. When she denied the Met Police aren't initially racist, one of our students asked her a question.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, you spoke about the one incident of the boy in the dustbin upside down, and you talk about specific incidents. Are you suggesting that there's no institutionalized racism in the police?
No, I think the police force, like many institutions, you could call them institutionalized. There's racism in terms of some of their practices and processes. I'm saying what you've got to do is identify that, challenge that, and bring about a change. And I'm saying also as well, if you keep looking back historically, then you cannot then see what is actually happening. I'm always looking at the stats, and I'm saying and meeting people, meeting communities, working with the police, and sometimes it's in a dreadful state. That was just one example where we then have to demand action.
Welcome, Chantel. I felt the story about your cousin was very passionate, and it gave us a real insight into what's possibly going on at the moment. It also highlighted the flaws in the system, as we all know it's there. What do you think about it?
Well, I could talk about the debate when I was there. It kind of infuriated me that Jeanette was trying to suggest there was no institutionalized racism, especially because she is supposed to be one of the top 50 most influential black women, and she's a member of the GLA. I kind of expected her to have a more understanding approach to the situation, and it just seems like she was trying to deny that any of the stuff that's really happening in the black community with the police is actually happening. So yeah, I'm just getting a bit tired of people trying to act like there's not a problem. I'm getting tired of like politicians and people that should be helping acting like they're doing stuff and they're not. And most of all, I'm just getting tired of black men dying. So I just generally feel like, yeah, I was quite happy with Cartel and his points of view. I think that we need more people like him kind of pushing forward the method that there has to be some type of change between the police and just the black community in general.
Well, we've been talking about the dark side of modern London, and it seems not much has changed. Another guest on the panel, London resident and writer Catherine Arnold, gave us an insightful look into the city.
Her unique perspective on darkness of London, its people, its history, fits with the city we know today.
Canyon Crochet, our entertainment producer, has been taking a closer look.
British historian, psychologist and author Catherine Arnold participated in a debate at London Metropolitan University with the focus of what it means to be a Londoner. We were able to interview Arnold before the debate and inquire about the darkness of London's history, its unique people, and everything she has learned about what she calls the City of Lust.
It's very odd. I've always got that dark side of London. Even when I first came down here, I found there's kind of melancholy strand about it. Something I've not really noticed in other cities. Other cities have a different feel. You know, Paris, New York, a different vibe. London's always had that side, that sad side, that feeling that I could walk along in Bloomsbury and hear the ghosts of housemaids calling to me from the areas. That melancholy air.
According to Arnold, her most popular book is Underworld.
Because it's got crime in it, it gets taken out a lot. People seem to be fascinated with crime. The nastier and the grimmer, the better.
Catherine Arnold sticks to this belief. The nastier, the grimmer, the better. And it does resonate. as her books are called grimly entertaining with deliciously uncanny detail in a review by Independent on Sunday. Another one of her most popular books is Necropolis, London and Its Dead, which details much of the tremendous amount of death that has occurred in London, revealing the city as built on one big graveyard. Her book Bedlam, London and Its Mad, takes place in a mental institution, where inmates were confined to filth and chained to walls naked and freezing, physically abused, and displayed to the public like circus freaks. All of them are available on Amazon and other select retailers for less than £10 each, also available in libraries.
When you first get books published, you think about big deals, you think about it being on telly, serialised in the newspapers. Actually, the thing that really proves your worth as a professional writer is how many people take it out of the library.
On the topic of using free resources, such as the library, Arnold had an insightful outlook into the psychological state of Londoners and their rationalization with free space within the city.
These days, if you want to sit down, all space is paid for, so you have to pay for the privilege of sitting down and having a cup of tea. I was once thrown off the steps of Burlington House because there was no room in the cafe, and the security guard actually came along and said, "Oh, you can't sit there and drink your water, you have to have a table." So all the tables are full, and that was when I realised what's happening to this city, which is that everything is being sold. You guys don't have the freedom down here that I used to a generation ago, when it was more easygoing.
Another guest we had hailed from the country of Greece, where great wine and controversy circulates. Her name is Fontina Alavini, and she relocated to London 5 years ago.
She's a vigorous woman of culture and expression, working as a curator at the Museum of London. She has a great way of interacting with people, and she made several friends in a short space of time.
With the love for her friends, she made this London the place to be.
I'm a curator at the Museum of London, and the collection that I'm looking after is the digital collection, so everything that has been born digital, basically. So I wanted to to start a more interactive collection that people could engage with. So, instead of going in a gallery and seeing things behind a display case, I wanted people to actually, press buttons and touch. So I started this video games collection. Which video game represents London? You know what? There is a video game that I'm sure you haven't heard of. It's from, I think, 1983 or 1984. It's called Hampstead. It's developed by Londoners, and it's a text-based adventure. So no pictures, no nothing. Basically, you follow a story and you type commands. And it's called Hampstead because the point of the game is to go to Hampstead, have a house there, get a good job, get a nice wife, and be, embraced by the community of Hampstead. And that I love because it's still the dream to go to Hampstead. It reflects socially, it's very sarcastic. It reflects socially, the atmosphere back then, but actually the atmosphere now. On the one hand, I feel a Londoner because I feel London is my home, but I'm not from London, and I love my country and, the people that I have left behind. And I feel, yes, that people have accepted me for what I am, not because I feel a Londoner.
It was good to see one of our own ex-students holding their own. What was your best bit, Gabriel?
I was filming our YouTube channel. Did you miss me?
I was far too busy watching it live, so... and that's all for today.
Make sure you follow us on Facebook and Twitter, @MetToday. Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.